Welcome to the Marvel Alliance podcast, where we cover anything and everything to do with the Marvel Universe. From the comics, TV, and movies, we will go from Earth 616 to the Mojoverse to the TVA in order to bring the Marvel Universe right to you. I am Weapon X Chris.
I'm your friendly neighborhood Brent.
Alliance Assemble, Volume 223. And you better darn believe we are giving maximum effort tonight, Brent, because it is finally here. Deadpool and Wolverine. This is our spoiler-filled review. As always, we're going to give you a non-spoiler portion of it. But man, I smiling. It cannot even describe how excited I am to talk about this tonight.
You know, just grinning ear to ear the whole time. So absolutely.
So I know we usually say how our weeks are, but we're going to cut that part out because we have a lot to talk about, and it's all been gearing towards this moment. So
we got a new Marvel movie. You know, our weeks were they were good.
They were good. Everything was good. So, but we cannot cut out the lovely network plug. So we are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance network with 7 shows covering the wide range of geek and nerdom. To see the full schedule, check out the show notes below and subscribe to the Geek Ultimate Alliance network on Twitter at GUA Pod Network so you know when all the shows drop. We also have a Patreon, so if you want to throw a couple of shekels our way, we've got 2 tiers. Our dollar tier is our tip jar to say, hey, you think we're doing a good job? And then we've got our $5 tier with ad-free episodes, early access episodes, and Patreon exclusive shows. And we've got 2 shows on there for Marvel Alliance. We can watch this all day. The Marvel Alliance Infinity Saga Rewatch, 24 episodes encompassing that show. And then our current show, Tales from the House of X, where we're watching all our favorite movies from the Fox era of X-Men. We've got 4 episodes up there, Deadpool, Deadpool 2, The Wolverine, and Logan. And we took a break in July due to travel schedules, but we are picking it right back up in August, looking at the original X-Men movie. And man, that movie's going to have a whole new different light watching it now, right, Brent?
It's going to be fun to go and be like, man, Hugh, you're nothing compared to how ripped you are now.
Well, you know, he's let it go a little bit, but we'll talk about why he let it go a little bit.
Yeah.
But if you are a member, we want to thank our patrons. We can't do this without your support. But if you're not a member of our Patreon, go to www.patreon.com/GUA Network to join the Patreon. But if you're not a member, totally understand. But if you want to take 30 to 90 seconds and rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts, we greatly appreciate it. And last but certainly not least, we want to thank our official sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com, for your omnibus hardcover collected edition needs. JP and the crew at OPB have got going on with excellent customer service, immaculate packaging, ships around the world, earn points when you order books, and right now you are looking at that has just been put live about an hour ago. The newest final order cutoffs, including for the first time in omnibus format, Black Panther by Reginald Hudlin. 1 whole volume collecting that illustrious run. That is going to be a thick omni. I'm going to tell you that right now. Then, as we scroll down, we got the Marvel Universe Master Edition, the official handbook, covering the last half of that, the guide. Then we've got the Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 6 that has now reached Volume 6 format. And I can't believe I'm saying this, Brent. It was bound to happen. It finally has. Ultimate Fantastic Four Omnibus Volume 1.
And I can recommend the first, 6 to 12 issues in that range.
Yeah.
Proceed after that at your own risk.
Exactly. But you're getting a volume 1 and it sells well enough. You're probably getting a volume 2, but this makes me happy right here. It was an oversized hardcover. Now it's being put in an omnibus format. 3 different covers for X-Men Fatal Attractions. So use that code MarvelGUA at checkout to get $2 off every single order. Use it a limited amount of times. And we want to thank them for being our official sponsor. All right, Brent. Last bit of show notes. You're going to get 2 doses of Marvel Alliance this week, ladies and gentlemen, because if you're listening to this tomorrow morning, it is today. You're watching us tonight, it is tomorrow. We are doing our crossover with Geek First to break down live the Hall H Marvel Studios panel. It is going to go live around 8:45, a little bit of pre-show discussion. Brent, are you still TBA on that one?
I think I'll be good. I got to get the kids in bed and stuff. But I think I'll be maybe a little late, but I should be there.
Well, good. So you will have the full host. We've got the Geek First guys joining us, so we're going to be watching Twitter, watching threads, breaking down all the all the information coming out live and probably having a little bit of post discussion after that as well. But audio will drop for the SDCC discussion on Sunday morning. So you get 2 doses of Marvel Aligned. We want to thank Geekverse for, again, continuing the crossover with us as well. So check that out. All right. Let's finally get into it, Brent. Deadpool and Wolverine, the only Marvel Studios movie this year. A lot riding on this, a lot of expectations, and I'll tell you what, the marketing, the interviews, I still have got to watch the Hot Ones discussion. I have not gotten a chance to watch that, but man, the truth detector, I mean, everything has been gearing towards this. They've thrown everything but the kitchen sink. I love this movie. It is absolutely outstanding. I'm not saying I don't have quibbles. Not saying I don't have thoughts at that point, but man, was, like we said, grinning ear to ear. What about you?
Going into this movie, it's like there was a lot of potential for it, right? I knew there was a lot of potential for it. To me, it met that potential. Sure, I can minor nitpick this, minor nitpick that, but it does things like it formally brings the Fox universe into the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse, right? That is official, that is canon now, and I appreciate that. And you know, gosh, Lord knows I have some very, very real problems with the Fox universe movies. Quite a few of them I have some significant issues with, but there's also several that I really enjoy. And this movie to me felt like Marvel Studios' love letter to what Fox did. Mm-hmm. A love letter to what Fox did. And just Reynolds and Jackman prove again why they're 2 of the best castings in comic book movies of all time. And yeah, you know, like we knew there'd be cameos, and on the surface level, those cameos are a good time. But if you know, like some of the fourth wall jokes related to those cameos, some of the more details behind some of those cameos, I'm sure we'll mention a couple of them tonight.
Oh yeah.
Then they're even funnier. On top of it, you know, just some cool action. There's plenty of that too. Like if that's all you want, you're gonna get that. Also, just fantastic movie. Like I said at the top, ear to ear grinning from literally the opening scene until the end. I was in for it.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I came out of the theater and just texted a few friends. And they're saying, "What'd you think? We're about to see it. What's your kind of non-spoiler stuff?" I said, they did everything, any moment they could do something rated R, they did outside of any kind of sexual situations. They did sexual jokes, but no, like the violence, the swearing, it all lined up with it. And, you know, like you said, the stuff for us who have been here since the beginning, major payoffs for us. A lot of Leo pointing at the screen. Man, I posted on Twitter that there were at least 2 to 3 moments where I was fist pumping and I wasn't the only one screaming at the screen saying, "Yeah, that's what I'm talking about."
There was a couple moments the whole theater popped.
And the spoiler from the trailer that dropped last week, yes, my mute game was strong. I didn't know about it, didn't see anything of it. And man, when that moment happened, I had nearly, so happy it didn't get ruined.
I haven't seen that trailer, so I don't know which specific spoiler you're talking about, but I know I did stumble across some spoilers because mute game is great as long as those words are in the tweets.
That's true.
If those words aren't in the tweets, they don't do you any good. But there was one thing that I really enjoyed that I was not spoiled on. I hoped we would see it in this or Secret Wars or something, and that was fantastic. Just in general, this movie, at one point, I'll be honest, I thought they could have called it fan service the movie. Mm-hmm. And that's fine because as a love letter, like I said, to the Fox universe.
The end credits show that they really truly love these movies. And I mean, good or bad, Fox era gave us some great stuff.
It gave us some great stuff, and sure, it gave us some dumpster fires as well.
Yeah.
But again, like if you're listening to what we've said on Patreon to some stuff, it gave us some great stuff. And I don't know. It may be fan service the movie, but like it all just for me works so well. And were there cameos that were just there because they could be? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's
but
okay.
They could have been other random characters that nobody knew, and I think it's fine. I think it's better that they took the time where they could to get someone back for something. Mm-hmm. So
yeah. I mean, it's one of those where, yes, if you haven't seen it, you're holding back at this point. Yes, Brent and I highly recommend it. When we get down to our rankings, You might be a little surprised at mine, but again, all in all, I really did enjoy this movie. It met my expectation, and in some moments blew me away. So go see Deadpool and Wolverine if you haven't. We're about to. We're going to take our first ad break before we get into our discussions tonight. So as you know, listeners, these ads help keep the lights on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on. It could be a bit loud. Give it a 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. And we are back. All right, Brent. So now we get in the spoiler section, your final warning at that point. So here we go, over the spoiler wall. The opening of the movie, and when he goes in, we see him at the gravesite of Logan's grave from Logan, digs him up and said, yeah, you thought we weren't going to desecrate the memory of this? You're wrong. We're going to. And he's saying, oh, that healing factor is going to do it. And he gets as soon as he starts dropping the F-bombs and he's at the skeleton, his conversation and using the adamantium against the TVA to buy. I know what kind of ride we were in for.
Yeah, it's like I had seen the soundtrack listing. I knew the Bye would be in it. You know what? I was an NSYNC fan back in the day. I still like that song.
Nothing to apologize for. I enjoyed their music too.
That song is catchy as hell, and putting it in there and having him kill the TVA agents, and already like it was different than what I thought it would be, because I thought that from the trailers I thought that scene would be later in the movie, and no,
yeah,
granted Deadpool does use, all the movies use a bit of nonlinear storytelling, and they definitely did that for the beginning of this, but this opening sequence, my lord, like it's got to be one of the best opening sequences in the entire Marvel Studios, in the entire MCU. Like I don't even know if I call this an MCU movie or not, but it feels, because the whole thing takes place in a Fox universe. But
oh yeah, and especially the cutaway to him actually doing the dance movements from the music video.
Yes, I was.
He did his homework,
just rolling, just cracking up out of the gate. Yes,
I love it when he gets the He puts the claws of Wolverine on him and uses them. I mean, for comic lore, that was the original concept of Wolverine, that they weren't a part of him, that he actually had to put them on. I do like the little joke, 206 bones in the human body, 207 when he watches Gossip Girl. Yep, that's yeah. It's got a little wink and nod to his wife.
Yep, his wife there. And there's so many of those fourth wall type breaking jokes throughout the movie, and just sprinkling them in throughout, absolutely fantastic.
And then, so we get to that. We kind of flash way back in time to 2018, where Wade has used the Cable's time-traveling device that he has it on his wrist like a clock, to Earth 616. Now, instead of the sacred timeline. Now, in a moment, I kind of thought, oh, are we finally getting it? Does Travis Snell get his Travis I told you to? I half thought he was going to be talking to Kevin Feige, just for a split second, the way they were panning that panel. I cannot lie.
I wondered, I at the time was like, it would make sense if they were, but Feige has also said more than once he doesn't want to be in the movies. Yeah. And so and then it turned around, it's Happy Hogan. I'm like, you know what? Considering he was in one of the Fox movies, because he was in Daredevil, he was Foggy Nelson in the Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck. Perfect that they got him in there like that. Love seeing that.
It was great. It's in timeline fashion. It takes place a few days before Infinity War. Mm-hmm. I love that he makes fun of him being a chauffeur, and Happy kind of gets a little offended at that. Lots of Easter eggs in the office. You've got Cap's prototype shield. You've got Tony Stark still has a heart on the desk. You got the Forbes cover store with Pepper Potts on it. Iron Man briefcase. You've got the Iron Legion Ultron helmet. Iron Man toy conveniently blocking a picture of Tony that's supposed to have Peter Parker on it, and that's done on purpose because they do not want to burn what's left of their get to use Peter Parker.
If you want to see that photo, go to Endgame. Look at the scene right before Tony corrects time travel and stuff, and you'll see that full photo.
But yeah, it's an Iron Man toy helmet, so it's a little wink and the nod to the second Iron Man movie, where that is what the supposed Peter Parker is wearing when Iron Man saves his life.
Right. Yep.
You've got Captain America cards behind Tony. You got the Mark II Iron Man helmet. You got the crazy desk decoration that really ticked off Tony and Iron Man 2. So a whole bunch of stuff. And Wade's just trying to get into the Avengers. He always wants to be a hero, even in the comics. And Happy gives him thanks, but no thanks.
He tells him to shoot for the middle, so he never misses.
Shoot for the middle.
He's subtle when he does it because he's like, I'm not the superhero saving type, and I know where my place is. And he kind of puts his hand at his head, and then he says, "So you need to just shoot for the middle." And Happy lowers his hand to show Deadpool that Happy believes he is above him.
Yep. So then we flash forward 6 years, and where do we find Mr. Wilson?
Basically a CarMax, DriveMax, I think it was called.
Yeah. I wonder if that's a silent nod to the way the Max is. I wonder if that's a silent nod to HBO Max, the way the Max is written.
I might have thought that if not for the car part, but maybe, regardless, he's a used car salesman now, and not a good one. He needs to learn to hold back on the swearing in front of the customers.
Well, he does say that he doesn't have a lot of certain kinds of relations.
Yeah. So he's not used to being around kids because he doesn't have any, because he can't make them.
And it is very inappropriate. So I don't think he makes a sale, but Peter is just like, oh, they'll come back, don't worry. And then we get to see what we saw in the first trailer. It's a surprise birthday party where Vanessa, Dopender, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, Yukio, who waves, hi Yukio, and Colossus, who seems to be very addicted to the Great British Bake Off, Shatterstar, Buck, who's the bartender from the bar, and then can't forget Blind Al. And this is where we find out that Vanessa and Wade have broken up.
Yeah, poor Deadpool there, poor Wade. But if he wasn't doing anything with his life other than being a mercenary, sort of, well, I guess you get it.
Yeah, it is. It's times happen, but we'll find out later at that point. But who comes knocking on the door after he makes his wish?
The TVA shows up, the Time Variance Authority. Sure, they look a little bit different than what we saw on the Loki TV show, but I actually think we can reasonably assume why, considering we know this is just a specific unit of the TVA. Once we get a little bit farther into the movie.
Yeah, and I still love. You never know what's in the trailer, what's not in the trailer, but I love they kept that line of the sense of whoa, 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 whoa. That certain move. I'm familiar with it, but Disney's not. Disney's not familiar with it.
Yep.
So yeah, they take him to the TVA, and I love how he wakes up and there's Mr. Paradox, and he said, "You seem to have soiled yourself." And I forget the line that he says.
You soiled yourself while you're unconscious, and Deadpool says, "I wasn't unconscious."
Oh man, that's good. And I have to say that Mr. Paradox, I love this actor. Absolutely. He did a great job. I've loved him since I saw him in just escapes me. Succession. Matthew McFadden. And he could easily pass for, I almost was thinking, I know he said his name was Mr. Paradox. I thought with all this different kind of, timey-wimey stuff, they were going to do us a fake out saying, oh, he's actually a new version of Mobius, Oh,
that'd be interesting. Not what I would want, but
no, I wouldn't want it either. So, he takes him, gets him in front of the TVA, says we've got a special mission for you. We find you special. And they see him playing a role in the future to avenge the sacred timeline. I like that use, avenge the sacred timeline. And he sees all the footage from all different MCU movies.
All of it Captain America related. Captain America was in every scene of that. All three movies were represented at one point, plus all the I'm definitely Avengers Endgame and the first Avengers. I'm now not so sure about the other two Avengers movies, but Captain America was in all of them. There's a shot of Civil War, which actually that shot of Civil War was Wanda and Black Panther, I believe.
Yes.
But it was from the Civil War, and then there's a shot of Winter Soldier, the first Avenger, Endgame. So good.
Yeah, and this is where he makes this thing, I'm going to be the Messiah, I'm Marvel Jesus. I love it when he runs back, looks at the camera and saying, suck it, Fox, I'm going to Disneyland, and beats the camera.
Yes, that got a big laugh out of me.
Oh, man.
Big laugh.
But so then we get a nice, interesting suit up scene where the tailor does get a little handsy with him.
Yeah, I mean, he's a predator, as Deadpool put it. He's a predator.
I just love that every other shot kept him either cupping something or slapping his butt.
Yep.
I do like on the hilts of the katanas, they've got the letters BRSD, which I later found out were actually supposed to be the initials of the Golden Girls, Blanche, Rose, Sophia, and Dorothy, who in the comics, Deadpool is a big fan of the Golden Girls.
Yeah, he's a fan. Gotta shout out the Golden Girls.
Yep, and as Mr. Hind is in the chat saying, "Why is Thor holding me?" Yeah, I mean, we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, that shot of Thor holding Deadpool. I don't know who the Thor actor was.
It definitely wasn't. I want to say
was it one of Chris Hemsworth's brothers?
It definitely wasn't him.
No, it was not Chris Hemsworth. But
yeah.
I'm not even convinced it was Ryan Reynolds he was holding. Like even the face of Deadpool, they looked different.
Could it have been the actors who were playing? You know, like I know it wasn't Matt Damon, but you know what I mean from so a mystery right now. But so he comes back in all suited up and ready to go. And what's Mr. Paradox reveal to him?
Well, Mr. Paradox basically he brings up this concept of anchor beings, which is not something we've heard, and he does this while telling him, "Hey, your universe is dying because the anchor being is no longer there." Deadpool briefly thinks he's the anchor being, which Mr. Paradox has a laugh at. And no, we find out that Logan, the Logan who died in the movie Logan, was the anchor being. And I think this is an interesting concept to have some beings so important that if they die, their universe will die within 1,000 or 2,000 years. But it seems flawed because with the exception of an immortal character, all these universes are dead within effectively 1,000 or 2,000 years.
And so it gets, because again, we now kind of really know that Deadpool is in the same universe as, when Logan was, but we don't know how many years removed. I mean, we know when Logan takes place, I think 2029 or 2026, one of those two. I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure it's 2029.
Okay, so, Mr. Paradox said he doesn't want to wait around to watch this universe because they don't prune anymore. And so, but he says he does want to get back to pruning, and he's got building this time ripper machine, and he wants to kind of wipe out Deadpool's universe. But because the people upstairs say that Deadpool's really going to be worth something to them, to bring him properly into 616, and he's like, "Whoa, you want to old yeller my universe?"
Right, and you can take that multiple ways. Like the people upstairs could represent Hunter B-15 and Mobius running the TVA, or the people upstairs can represent Kevin Feige, Louis D'Esposito, and so the rest of the Marvel Studios Parliament, because Deadpool is the one that they view like that was so valuable that they were going to do Deadpool 3 before Hugh Jackman signed on to do it. They were still pursuing a third Deadpool movie. And so he's the one they like, that universe is dead, but we're extracting you out of it. And then obviously that's not the way the movie ultimately goes, but you could certainly look at that in a couple different ways.
And it's just this confusion. So what's the difference between a nexus being and an anchor?
To me, semantics. It sounded the same.
And that's, I don't know what we threw around nexus beings.
Except nexus beings they kind of are like bridges between the multiverse, right?
Okay. So
and the nexus beings, there's not necessarily more than one of, right?
I guess that the nexus being is if they die, they don't necessarily take down the universe, but an anchor does.
Yeah, so maybe they're more like two sides of the same coin versus semantics.
Yeah.
I would be very curious to know further from there. Heinz in the chat said he saw an interview where it was Feige who brought up the idea of the anchor being. I would be curious to see that interview. Feige has had so many lately between this movie and the press tour for this, as well as San Diego Comic-Con, which is happening as we speak. But the anchor being, I think, is interesting. You have to ask, well, who are the anchor beings in other universes?
Yeah.
Well, I guess presumably it's Tobey Maguire, it's Andrew Garfield, it's Miles Morales in the Spider-Verse movies. Who's the anchor being in the MCU? Because if it's Iron Man, well, the clock has started.
And it seems to be, it kind of does tie into a little bit of what they brought up in not only Multiverse of Madness, but also Into the Spider-Verse. I was getting Into the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse, second movie.
Across the Spider-Verse is number 2.
Okay, Across the Spider-Verse. In the sense of you got the canon events and you've got people who are in like what happened with Miguel. He went into another universe and the universe started collapsing on itself and kind of having some issues at that point. Same thing in Multiverse of Madness. You're in a universe you're not supposed to be in that is going to cause a lot of problems.
Whereas we didn't see any problems like that and it was implied there would be no problems with this Wolverine staying. You know, we don't have to go in timeline order of the movie itself. Wolverine at the end of the movie is in Deadpool's world. 1000095 or whatever it was, I don't remember. He is in Deadpool's world, and that's where he lives.
10005.
5. Okay, thank you. And the implication being there's no problem with him being there. Like, he's not going to start bugging out and stuff like Miles Morales does.
We can write whatever we want. The rules don't matter.
Well, what I actually feel like is Avengers Endgame established some time travel rules, but it was also...
and this movie verifies them.
Outside of Doctor Strange, it was basically the first time time travel really was used. Like, it was the first real significant time travel in the MCU. Yes, Doctor Strange did a little bit, but the first real significant one. The thing is, yes, this movie does kind of back those up, but it also plays off of the events of Deadpool 2, which had different time travel. And, we've now seen Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, where it's jumping dimensions. We've seen the TVA and the events of the Loki TV show with their time travel, which seems to be different than what the Avengers did. And it's clear to me, like, the rules and what happens in Multiverse or in the Spider-Verse movies, which is canon to the Multiverse, it's clear to me just the rules. In the real world, the rules depend on the studio writing it. Mm-hmm. In story, I think it just depends on the method of travel. Oh, you travel like they do in the Spider-Verse movies? Well, the universe may not like that if you don't have one of these.
Yeah.
But if you travel like they do in the TVA, you're good. No big deal.
And Heinz brings up something. X-23 is there too. But if we're to be believed, if this is the X-23 from 10005, then that's okay. She's there.
Yes, and I've already seen a little bit of debate about that.
That's what I'm saying. We don't know.
Is this the X-23 from the Logan movie, from where Logan died, or is this a different X-23 with effectively the same backstory? Because they did establish the backstory was the same.
Yep.
We don't know yet. Now, I presume. And I will go on the assumption it is the same X-23 until we're told definitively otherwise.
Same here. Yep, I'm going with that idea as well. So, but Wade ends up stealing Paradox's TemPad and says he's going to find another Logan to bring back and to be the new anchor. And then we get an amazing montage with the Power of Love from Huey Lewis and News. I'm sorry, the needle drops in here really worked in this one, and this was great.
Nailed
Back to the
every
Future.
time.
If you're watching live, you've got to appreciate the background that I have going on here with Wolverine and Deadpool looking like Back to the Future. So we start visiting a number of them. So here's where we start. We start with comic accurate sized Wolverine, woolly Wolverine at 5'4". Super green screened his head on a 5'4" body.
This whole montage, just laughing the whole time.
We get Age of Apocalypse Wolverine, that's a lot of hair. And it was a lot of hair in the comics, but man, they went there.
He looks great though.
It did. Crucified Wolverine from Uncanny X-Men number 251, where he was tortured by Donald Pierce and the Reavers, and Jubilee ends up saving him there. I love it. He comes up upon us and said, "You need a little help, bud? How you doing up there?" Then we get another version of Old Man Logan, who blows him away with a shotgun. We get John Byrne, brown and tan suit Wolverine, who ends up, he says, "What do you, and he gives him credit. He says, "Oh, I love the John Byrne suit." And he says, "What you doing here?" And he gets his claws out, and you see the reflection of the Hulk, which is another reference to the cover of Incredible Hulk number 340. And Deadpool makes a statement, "I am Marvel Jesus, you dowd creature," before getting slapped away, much like another person called
like
Hulk.
Loki.
Yep, like Loki. And then we get him seeing Patch when he went to his Madripoor days. And then we see, as he says, "Oh, this is looking good." And then we see the Cavalrine, Henry freaking Cavill playing a variant Wolverine. Oh my goodness, the rumors were true.
This is one I got spoiled on because I clicked on a trending topic and out of nowhere was a screen cam of this, and I didn't know if it was real or not. So as soon as I heard he turned around, I'm like, that doesn't look right. I stopped from it. So this one, I was like, I'm pretty sure it's okay. My favorite cameo I wanted, which I can say at this point, the Johnny Storm cameo is my favorite cameo.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they do it. I didn't know if they do it in Secret Wars. I just really wanted to see it at some point, and I was thrilled we got it. But the joke about the Calvarine, and it's like, we'll treat you way better than those guys down the street.
It was so worth it. Just to see him, I'm glad he didn't punch him without his claws. I'm glad we got to see him to pop the claws and then hit him.
He kind of popped like one hand at a time, and it reminded me of that scene in Mission Impossible where he like does pops his arms or whatever
shotgun arms.
Yeah, it wasn't the exact same, but I don't even know if that's intentional, close. But it's what I thought of.
No, that was good, and so we go through it, and we eventually he lands in this other universe where we get the Wolverine that's basically drinking himself silly. And, we get the scene that we saw in the trailer with him trying to get him in, and they get the whiskey of the claws, as he liked to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But he eventually gets him to the TVA, and Mr. Paradox is laughing at him. We did forget that Wade did break Paradox's nose at that point, so he's a little ticked off at him. But he starts laughing at him because of this variant he's brought. What does he call this version of Wolverine?
What is the exact one? He effectively alludes to him being the worst Wolverine there is.
Yep.
But I don't remember the exact words that he called him.
He called him. He basically said he's the biggest loser and the worst Wolverine of his entire.
What they should have said was he's the worst there is at what he does. That's what they should have said about him.
Yeah, and so apparently he said this Wolverine let his entire universe down. Did you appreciate the on your left?
Yes, I did.
Heinz, did you appreciate the on your left?
The on your left got quite the smile out of me.
Even S-Bub says he did the Mission Impossible fist reload.
All right, good. So I'm not the only one who thought that.
Yep, you're not. So, but yeah, so they get some banter back and forth, and Paradox prunes them. And Paradox almost gets a little excited pruning him.
Oh, he loved it. He's not one. You can just tell he's not one who normally does the dirty work himself. Heinz has responded to the on your left with the middle finger emoji.
So no, we don't do that in this show. That's a Patreon only thing.
but yeah, like Paradox, like he's definitely that guy who always just sends the lackeys out to do the dirty work. So because he looked real relieved when he managed to prune Wolverine after that. Of course.
Well, even look how his TVA section is. Like he's above them, they're underneath. They're very much him. Like in Star Wars, you got the Imperial Star Destroyers.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yep.
So we get transported to the Void, and we see a lot of different kind of things all over the place. We see Thor's winged helmet on the ground, 20th Century Fox logo, which we've seen from the set photos, classic cap shield, Chitauri Leviathan ship, a Ferris wheel from Fantastic Four, the Rise of the Silver Surfer, and a helicarrier. This is a junkyard.
Which it fits with the Void. I actually thought they did a pretty good job with both the TVA and the Void of matching it to Loki. It doesn't look exactly the same, but it's pretty easy to, like, in this world of even in this movie, the Void shows us different areas that look different, so it's pretty easy to assume the events that we saw in the Void in Loki season 1 pretty much took place on a different part of that world than where Cassandra Nova is.
Yeah, and so then we get the first of many fights between Deadpool and Wolverine. What'd you think of when we saw parts of it in the trailer, but what'd you think of seeing this in fully formed out?
This was a good fight. This was a fun fight. The car fight is better, but this was a good fight. It was nice, and it was fun to see how quick they stopped and basically were like, okay, we're teaming up now because these other guys are coming after us.
How did you like it? Was AC/DC Hell's Bells. We start the MCU with AC/DC Back in Black.
It's fitting. It's
It
fitting.
is. It all's part of the plan. It's all connected. So yeah. So I'm gonna let you kind of say because we get the people, we get some cars rolling up. I'm gonna let you take the reins of this hooded figure that's trying to help him out.
Yeah, this hooded figure is basically telling them to shut up and stuff, that they don't want to get caught. And you see glimpses of red and white and blue, and you're
That voice. That
if
voice.
you know the voice, like if you know the voice, basically you're like, okay, well that sounds an awful lot like Chris Evans, red, white, and blue. That's Captain America, right? And
That's
he jumps,
America's butt.
yeah, he jumps down, and they just immediately Deadpool is like, it's Captain America. It's great. He's gonna say it. He's gonna say the words Avengers, and then because there's all the bad guys have circled up on him.
Yep.
Johnny just screams "Flame on!" Goes in the air. Like an idiot, attacks Pyro, the one person he can't fight.
It's just, he's like, come on. And how did your theater react to that when
They were laughing. There was a lot of
mine
laughter.
blew up laughing too. It was great.
It's a different cameo that got the biggest reaction, and I'll say that for that moment that from my theater. But the thing is, I thought right then and there that Johnny was dead, and I was just thankful they did it because
that's what I thought. I was like, since when did Human Torch get like that master healing ability or invulnerability?
I thought he was dead for sure, but I loved so much that they did it, and that
Me
Chris
too.
Evans was willing to do it. That if that's all it was, that was fine. But we did get a little bit more with him, and that was even better.
Yep. Oh yeah, it was totally worth it at that point. And then we get a duel between Sabretooth and Wolverine, and Deadpool makes a comment that they're brothers, which I thought that was kind of retconned after Days of Future Past, but why not? We'll just keep it here.
I mean, you got to keep the continuity funky, and especially because that was a different Sabretooth, and like this Wolverine and Sabretooth didn't know each other when they first met, or like I shouldn't say this Wolverine. In X-Men 1, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and Sabretooth did not know each other. That was like their first meeting. And so, which I never liked because it took away some of their history. But in this, they clearly do. And there's this joke about people have been waiting decades for this. And you know what? I'm going to say it. It's a quibble. I would have liked a little bit more of a fight from Sabretooth before he got his head cut off.
Okay, I get that, and
Just
part of me is like that too, but part of me is just like, oh, this is so Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, and I mean, it would have been fun to see Wolverine and him going at each other. I guess it would have been similar to just Wolverine and Deadpool fighting with their healing factors, but just part of me would have liked it. But ultimately,
Fury, I've got your head of your queen, Furiosa.
Yeah, I mean, he cut his head off. That was funny. We knew it was coming if we saw the set photos, which I remember. I did see it, so
I didn't see the head cut off. That I didn't see.
I knew it was I knew it was happening. I honestly thought it would be a little bit longer.
Yeah, I get it. I'm with you on that. So they're captured and they're being taken to eventually we discover Cassandra Nova's headquarters. And during the ride, Johnny's telling them that Reed has called the Void the metaphysical junkyard. And as we've seen in the trailers, her headquarters is a giant Ant-Man body. I do like the comment, Paul Rudd finally aged. And this also, I saw this going out there around a bit. Now, some people are theorizing this is the giant man from Quantum Mania because the one who got spaghettied during Quantum Mania, if they get into spaghettied at that point, they could end up in the void. And so maybe this is this one. Some interesting
Does getting
headcanon.
spaghetti take you to the void?
I don't know. It's just a theory I've been seeing going around. I said, I got nothing that says not, but,
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me either way. We'll probably never actually find out.
Oh yeah. So we roll up on there, and we're not going to go to other. We broke down Cassandra Nova, all the twin sister-ish of Charles Xavier, but there's a lot of other X-Men villains there, not necessarily played by the same actors or actresses anymore. We've got Lady Deathstrike, Juggernaut, Azazel, Callisto, the Blob, the Russian from the Punisher movies, who was originally played by Kevin Nash. I think most of these are actually played by, I know Juggernaut for sure, Azazel for sure, Lady Deathstrike for sure, the Russian for sure are all played. I think Callisto might be the only one. If not, it is a
By the
good
original actors?
Yeah, Callisto looked the closest.
Toad is the same, I think. I think
Okay.
Toad was still...
Yeah, Toad and Pyro, I
Toad
think.
was supposed... Pyro 100% is.
Yeah.
Toad, I thought, was Ray Park. And I should have checked the credits for this one. I know Juggernaut is different. It's the same costume, but different actor. Oh, he even says, like, which Juggernaut are you this
you've
time?
got 3. So Wade tells Cassandra about the awful things that Johnny said, and Johnny's like denying it left and right. So why would I say that? That's awful. You're making this up. And Cassandra just has enough and just rips the skin off of Johnny, and he just collapses. I was like, whoa.
So gross. So gross.
That was like something out of like Beetlejuice at that point, just how that happened.
I saw someone saying, well, that scene was obviously CGI. I'm like, well, yeah, what did you think they did?
We're gonna kill Chris Evans?
Like,
He's like everyone's second favorite Chris.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, there might have been a little CGI in this movie. Let's call it how it is.
So what ends up happening next was between Cassandra and Wade.
Well, she basically does the whole mind thing on him a little bit, and then they figure out how to escape. You know, she's like, oh, Eliath is coming in, and he's like, oh, Eliath from season 1, episode 5 of Loki. Which is a pretty, I mean, that's got to be the most overt reference to a TV show yet, telling someone exactly what season and episode to go to.
Hey, who needs homework? You just watch this movie. But yeah, she does the whole thing with the hands in his mind, and that is very comic accurate from the new X-Men run by Grant Morrison. How she senses what's going on in the head. We do see kind of what happened between Wade and Vanessa, but what ticks Wade off that this is not real is when she says like he won't ever amount to anything.
Right, and Cassandra's putting words basically into the memory of what Vanessa said during that conversation. So we don't know exactly how that conversation ended, but we know that part was made up.
But we also think that the whole thing of being rejected by the Avengers is what sent him into this downward spiral.
Yes, they were pretty clear about that.
Yeah. And so she explains her agreement with the TVAs to stay in the Void as kind of the gang leader of it. And as you brought up, Eliath is the one that I had a theory that she was going to try to control Eliath, but I don't think it's more of a control thing. I think it's more of just if you're not going to play ball, she's going to feed you to Eliath.
It's like they have a deal.
Yeah.
Which I'd be curious to know how that deal came about, but they have a deal.
Yeah, so but Logan and Wade escape using a jet foot from a retro Sentinel that we had seen from Days of Future Past. Wolverine recognizes it, hotwires it before Eliath can consume them.
Yep, and they managed to get away, and they not long after they meet Nice Pool or Kind Pool.
Yep. So before we get into that, we're going to take our next ad break before we get into the second act. Listeners, as you know, these ads help keep the lights on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on. They can be a bit loud. Give it that 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. All right, Brent, start us off. Nice Pool.
Nice Pool, yes. Basically, it's a Deadpool variant who it's played by Ryan Reynolds, and he is the papa of Dogpool, and we
Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins, yes, and Deadpool Prime, as he called himself, really took a liking to Mary Poppins.
I can't wait to see the first stuffed animal for Mary Poppins.
Surprised I haven't already seen one.
We're going to Disney next year. I'd be shocked if one of my children doesn't think that's the coolest looking dog. I said it'd be poetic. But yeah, Wade is very much taken by Dogpool.
Who I saw Ryan Reynolds said in like the UK won a contest for the ugliest dog in the UK or something like that. Mm-hmm. And you know what? It's not a very cute dog. I'm going to say it. It's not a cute dog.
It is not. I like it how Wade introduces him to Wolverine, saying that he too is usually more jacked up, but he let himself go since the divorce. And I was like, whoa, that had to be done during reshoots because the divorce wasn't announced until like April. So that had to have been done during some sort of reshoots.
I was a little surprised that Hugh Jackman was willing to go for that, but there was a joke on, I think it was Jimmy Kimmel that they were hosting for, mm-hmm. and there was a comment about it there too. And so it's like, well, clearly he's willing to joke.
Yeah, I mean, hide your pain by joking about it.
Yeah.
But Nicepool directs Wade and Logan to travel to the Void Borderlands to join the Resistance against Nova and warns them about this. Yeah, be careful with the Deadpool Corps. They're kind of crazy.
Yeah, not wrong. Not wrong.
Now, before that, they went to this diner at that point. I had heard a rumor that diner was supposed to be from one of the Spider-Man movies, like the pizza parlor. Supposedly.
That's funny because I don't remember which scene it was, but there was a scene that in the background, I thought I saw like the Joe's Pizza or whatever it was from the Maguire movies. Mm-hmm. I thought I saw but
actually it's Joe's Diner. That's actually from the comics.
That I saw?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I haven't seen anyone comment about it being the pizza thing, and I didn't get a great look at it, and so I just kind of chalked it up to, well, maybe I saw it wrong. So Joe's Diner.
But I think they ended up switching the diner to be the one from Avengers that they had shawarma at the end.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, they get the Honda Odyssey, and Deadpool's not a fan of the Honda Odyssey.
No. I'm like, were they trying to do? Was that supposed to be some product placement? Because if so, that's an interesting way to do it.
It is definitely not a great color of it either. I'll tell you that much.
Later they land and go, oh, that felt like a Kia. So I don't know.
Yeah. I like Deadpool while they're driving, trying to pick a song, and ends up The Greatest Showman. Eventually, he flips through because why not?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised they didn't play that a little more. But
yeah, especially since it's on the soundtrack too. I was kind of surprised.
For some reason, them fighting to Grease Lightning works.
Oh, it does. During the drive, we actually see some more Easter eggs. We see one of the big ring ships from Thanos and the Milano.
Yep.
How'd you like the Spider-Man thwipping?
That got a smile out of me, and I wondered if they were going to say the name or not. Clearly, they didn't. But it did get a smile out of me for sure.
So you mentioned they got into a fight, and what does Wade tell him that gets Wolverine so ticked off?
Well, he makes this comment about if the TVA can fix your world, and Wolverine clocks that and says, "What'd you say? If?" And he goes, "Well, I made an educated wish, not even educated again.
That's not a thing.
Wish.
That's not a thing.
We are going to make it a thing. An educated wish." And Logan, he just tears into him mentally. He just attacks him. Like at one point he says, "You are like the biggest joke because you're just such a loser and everybody hates you and you're such a joke, but the joke's on all of us because you can't die." And just at the end of it, Deadpool doesn't say anything. He just stares at him. And then he goes, "I'm going to fight you now." And they lay into each other. And this was the fight between these two that I absolutely loved.
That it was an epic fight. I love the coexist bumper sticker at that point. But here's my thing, and again, this is just me. This is not a real nitpick. This is always a question I've had, particularly with how many times Wade has gotten clawed at that point. His suit.
Yep.
I'm just sorry. I just think that's one thing that even we get to like the Arkham Knight series of video games, that Batman suit continually gets worse and worse and worse throughout the game. I know he chose red so that way the bad guys can't see him bleed. But this he gets the crud kicked out of him a lot. That costume should be destroyed. It
should be, and even like we even see Wolverine's suit take some battle damage throughout the movie. And it's Deadpool. It's almost to the point of they should have said that Deadpool's powers like extend to his clothes because they just ignored it. And you know what? You're absolutely right. I thought about it both times I saw this movie, and immediately after that, I said, "Yeah, I don't care."
Yeah, it's just one of those things that I just started to think about. So, man, he's taking some hits at that point, especially a couple of times right through the head. But yeah, so they beat himself up. They beat each other up. I love it how we kind of pan over and Deadpool. I didn't think there was that much seatbelt, but Wolverine found it, and they're collapsing the car, and a figure walks up and drives away with them. Wade wakes up and sees Wolverine, and they meet the Resistance, aka the Others, and some of the stuff we talked about on this show. Others, I had absolutely no clue, no expectation. So we get the first walkout of Jennifer Gardner's Electra Nachos,
which we knew was happening.
Which we knew was happening, and then comes out Wesley Snipes' Blade. My theater lost their minds at that moment.
Yes, absolutely. The whole theater popped for that one. And
I like the little gray in the beard, a little gray in the goatee.
I had no idea that was happening.
Neither did I. It makes his tweet about the problems going on with the MCU trying to get Blade off the ground makes it even more cheeky.
And it's interesting because Wesley Snipes and Ryan Reynolds, not exactly friends after the Blade Trinity experience.
And he calls that out in the movie. He's like, I don't much like you. He's like, you've never liked me. So makes me wonder, how did Ryan Reynolds convince Wesley Snipes to come back on a picture with him?
A paycheck?
I mean, yes. I mean, he's got tax evasion issues he's got to do, but
right, he's got to pay for that, I guess.
But the next thing, I don't think. Travis called it on Geekverse at that point. He's saying this.
I didn't think it was happening.
You know what? It was one of those and they went for it when Channing Tatum's Gambit. Channing Tatum, who had tried so many different times to get Gambit off the ground, being it at this point, he is in a comic accurate, ridiculous looking suit for Gambit, and man, hearing him talk,
the suit didn't look the best.
No, and I think that was the whole point, to make it ridiculous. But we'll get to them. But then the thing that I know was ruined for a lot of people, it was not ruined for me by the last trailer. I went on a mute game. I did get like a slight heads up that there was another trailer dropping, but I didn't know what was in it. So I started making sure whatever looked into my mute stuff at that point, but I did not see this one coming. Daphne King's X-23. I was so happy that was not ruined for me, and I'm still. I am very upset for people because I was like, oh my gosh, why did they ruin this? Why? I know why, because Daphne King. Kevin Feige went on record that Daphne King wanted to come to the premiere, wanted to be there, and I get it. I totally get it, because she needs to have that moment. So, I mean, they were stuck in a situation.
They were, and you know what? If that's the case, I'm glad they did that for her. I will accept that reason.
I will accept it for her, yes.
That said, I saw a screenshot of it ahead of time of her and Hunter B-15. Somebody shared screenshots, and it just said, wow, I can't believe they're in the movie. Oh, no. That was one that said. The other one I saw was saying, I can't believe they're in one was, I can't believe they're in this movie, like excited. The other one was, I can't believe Marvel put them in the trailer and spoiled it. And so the first one, you're excited. Okay, I'm annoyed, but I get it, and it's my fault for being there. The second one, you're complaining about Marvel spoiling it, but you then just did the same thing. So I'm like, come on, guys.
But the back and forth between Wade, Gambit, and Blade was just epic. Wade calling Gambit Sling Blade because of how he's speaking. It's some of the worst.
Who's your dialect coach?
Who's your dialect coach? Did you take lessons from the Minions? You're the superhero version of Hawkeye. I love Elektra talking about Daredevil was killed, and Wade says he's sorry. She's like, it's fine. Oh, nice slam.
Yeah, that was cold. Yep. And that, I feel like that kind of killed. I mean, granted, you could have variants, but like, it was like, oh, well, I guess I can rule out showing Ben Affleck as Daredevil showing up in this movie anywhere, because she just said her Daredevil was dead.
Yeah, Travis was also very shocked, considering how their relationship, as Bub's saying, I think it's at least good that since she had a significant role, not spoiling a 5-second cameo in the trailer. Yeah, I'm glad X-23, because it needed to be more than that, and she definitely got it. But the others want to head to Cassandra's HQ, and, Wade wants to kind of convince them to say, like, hey, starts rallying them up, saying, like, hey, we can do this, we can get back, we can find a way to block her telepathy at that point. Said, is Magneto here? I said, nope, she's killed. Oh, come on. What about the elbow? Oh, she melted. Oh, can't. He gets so ticked because everything else they've tried, and then they brought up the idea of Juggernaut's helmet could work as well. But Logan wants nothing to do with it. He says, good luck, sounds like a suicide mission, I'm not a part of it. I really did like the scene. I'm glad we got a new one-on-one scene between Logan and X-23 where he kind of breaks down what exactly happened between him and his X-Men, that he never wanted to wear the costume. All of them were trying to get him to do it. And he got in a fight one day, went out and got drunk, and apparently the humans decided to come on and go mutant killing, as he put it.
Yeah, and I was a little surprised that like his big sin where he like failed his universe was he went out and got drunk.
Well, no, I think his biggest sin was the aftermath. Is when
the
he just
aftermath
started
of him killing a bunch of people, sure, but they never really said who he killed. They implied some bad people, some good people, but I would have thought it was something more. Now, I think Hugh Jackman did a great job telling the story.
Yeah, I did too.
I would have guessed it was something worse. Let's put it that way.
I would have guessed, and that's one of my disappointments of it, that it was just that. I was like, okay, could we have not faked a Mysterio or something, like a mastermind, or like doing an homage to that, because that would have landed a lot better.
Yeah, probably.
So, but again, it was a good scene, and I love how X-23 said, "I'm no hero, kid," and she goes, "You never were, you never was until you were," something to that effect. It was good. So they go and head to Cassandra Nova's HQ. I love it that they're flying the Avengers symbol with an anarchy symbol on it. Mm-hmm. And Blade breaks out a rocket launcher, they said, from the Punisher. And Wade goes, which one? There have been a lot. And Blade goes, there's only been one Blade. And you get that Deadpool looking at the camera, was like,
which you can now interpret two different ways.
Yep.
There's only one Blade because they can't get the other one off the ground. It's a fake movie. Or there's another Blade on the way, and sorry, buddy, we're just not going to tell you that.
Yeah, exactly. Saying, yeah, I'll let you think about that. But they fire their breakthrough, and we get a huge fight. But they surprisingly, then they didn't realize, I don't know if they didn't realize or not, I couldn't really tell, that Wolverine jumps out of the trunk with him, lines up for big hero shot, and the other says they're going to take the brunt downstairs so that way Deadpool and Wolverine can take down or get Cassandra to get them out of there at that point. Even Elektra saying we get to end our story.
And in general, I thought for sure that like Elektra was going to, because we knew she was in, so she's the example I'm giving. She was going to be one of these. We pop in, it's funny, and
yep.
It's out.
She goes down.
It's over. Basically, less time than Johnny Storm had. And really, these four, Elektra, Blade, Gambit, and X-23, they had pretty good time.
Yeah,
and they all had a great action sequence. Action sequence.
I love Blade uses kind of, I call it like the Batarang, like where he takes down. There's actually a vampire out there because one of them goes to dust.
Yep, and he says the somebody's always trying to ice skate uphill.
Some MFers are always trying to skate uphill from that line from the first movie. Yep. Laura's wearing the glasses she got from Logan, which is kind of interesting just because she definitely got a newer version because she was 12 and those glasses usually don't fit. Your head gets a little bigger. But I do like the tip of the hat. Yeah. Gambit, I mean, they give Channing Tatum, he goes full Gambit with the cards, the bow staff, it's pretty impressive.
It's like, it wouldn't surprise me if he's like, I'll come back and do this, but I want to do it all. I want to throw cards. I want the bow staff. I want the full costume. If we're going to do it, give me all of it, because this is probably his one and only time to do it.
Now, I've only seen it once. You've seen it twice at that point. I could have sworn he was trying to do the line, it's the name's Gambit, remember it. I don't think he did it exactly, but I want to say he was trying to do it or said something to that. He said
something like, make sure they remember us or something like that.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And it was like, tell people about us. And so he alluded to it without I would have loved it. The name's Gambit. Said it. And he also, when he was introducing himself as Gambit, he referred to himself as the Gambit. Yeah, my name is Remy LeBeau, the Gambit. What? People call me the Gambit. Do they, or do you want them to?
I know, God. I appreciate Channing Tatum hamming it up like that. I do like X-23 of how she takes down Juggernaut, going for slicing his Achilles tendon to take him down and decapitate him.
Well, not just slicing him, but she cut off his at the ankle. She went full-fledged cut off his feet.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
He just falls forward. And they don't show the decapitation, but we know it happened.
Yeah, it definitely happened.
And prior to that, they had said that the only way to get the helmet would be to decapitate him.
Yep. And so, but flash up to Wade's basically taken out very quickly by Cassandra Nova, and then we get a kind of a one-on-one sequence with Wolverine and Cassandra where she's doing the whole finger through the head and trying to manipulate him, saying, I'll
So
take away
creepy.
this pain if you basically, she's trying to get him to join him. And at one point, this seems to be part of the plan in the way to distract her, in hopes that X-23, which she eventually does throw up the helmet, puts the helmet on Cassandra Nova, and it cuts him off. And they said, all right, you got to transport us. And she's like, well, can't transport you, get you out of there, because the minute you take it off, I'm going to kill you.
And up until Hugh Jackman gives a speech about what it means to be an X-Men, the love for the X-Men that Xavier has, and the love for Cassandra that Xavier would have had he known about it.
Would
and
have
if he had
torn
known,
apart the earth to find her.
yes, would have torn through, and that basically convinces her to, basically, give them 4 seconds of respite and a way out.
Yep. So she said, I can get you out of here. But there's Goliath coming at that point, and then she takes up, I picked this up off of what we basically read
An amateur sorcerer.
An amateur sorcerer. So we're assuming it's a variant of Doctor Strange at that point.
Potentially. It also looked like it had 2 Infinity Stones.
It did. It had the Time Stone and the Reality Stone. Mm-hmm. That has definitely been confirmed. So it's not an ordinary sling ring. And so she gets him a portal. They get out before Goliath basically takes him out. And we're gonna pause there for our next ad break. So, ladies and gentlemen, these ads help keep the lights on in the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on, and we can be a bit loud. So give it that 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. And we are back. So they get into, where do they head to at that point? Because they land, and they land hard.
They land, on IKEA. So they land at Ryan Reynolds, at Wade's car dealership.
Yeah, with who's selling the, Peter's selling him the car, the family that he sold it.
Peter's selling the car to the other people. He's like, I'll make sure Wade gets half the commission, and the car gets totaled.
Peter's so kind.
He is.
He's a good guy. But yeah, so they land, they run off at that point, and they end up in the middle of the street, and Wade and Logan find Paradox, and he's getting ready to use the Time Ripper, obviously without permission from his superior, and that's when Hunter B-15 is then notified that a Time Ripper has been activated without permission. And it's just like, I said, it's been activated without permission. I thought those were just outlawed, So it sounds like they have some of these just standing by. It's kind of weird if the TV is totally different now.
Well, it's just they probably already had some built throughout,
just in case,
for ways to prune entire universe. And for all we know, that's how they prune entire universes. Sometimes, like, we don't know for sure. I really did appreciate that B-15 was included, because otherwise it could have felt like a totally different TVA. But by her inclusion there, it along with some of the other references, it does kind of tie back to the events of Loki.
Yeah, and it was good to have, like you said, that tie back with it. So Cassandra Nova then quickly learns from Pyro, who we forgot to say that, shot her and revealed that he was Paradox's mole in the void. Mm-hmm. At that point, and he reveals to her of the whole plan that Paradox has, and so she does the whole, I'm going to grab your mind, and you're going to do exactly what I say, and just drags him with his mind with her fingers in it. So again, creepy as all get out.
That was the creepiest one, because it wasn't just like 1 or 2 fingers like with Wolverine and Deadpool earlier. It was her whole hand going through him.
So I want to say this, and I'm going to say this. Cassandra Nova, Paradox, in my opinion, this is a knock, what I'm going to have right now. There were weak villains. And these were part of my problem with the MCU with weak villains. They were not good.
They serve their purpose.
They serve their purpose,
but they are not going to top anybody's list of favorite MCU villains unless you just happen to have a special place in your heart for the, that actor, or I guess that character from the comics.
Yeah.
No, they're certainly not Killmonger. They're not Thanos. They're not the Vulture. They're not Mysterio. They're like nothing like that. And
the movie wasn't about them. I get
it wasn't. That might bother me in other movies, but and people have this criticism about the Marvels too. And in both cases, to me, the movie was entirely the relationship between our leads.
Correct.
And so because of that, if I had felt like in either the Marvels or Deadpool and Wolverine, if our leads had not had good chemistry together, then I would have said it's a big problem.
Now Emma Corrin and Matthew McFadden did a great job with the roles that they had. I'm just saying, like,
they weren't given that much.
They weren't given that much. They did what they could with what it was, but they definitely are my there's the villain problem again in the MCU. So.
I didn't realize it was Emma Corrin at first. My wife actually clocked it before I did, but Emma Corrin played Princess Diana on The Crown for a couple seasons. Did a great job.
God, I love The Crown. There. But yeah, she's outstanding in that. Absolutely outstanding. But so, anyways, sorry, I just had to get a tangent in there because I realized, I forgot to bring up my point about the villains in this. So Cassandra, as she is down there getting the Time Ripper in order, she says she's called in some people to keep Wolverine and Deadpool away. And then we see Dogpool run up, and Wolverine starts sniffing, saying, "I smell you. I smell a lot of you."
So gross. He put it.
Nicepool comes out, and then we start getting the Deadpool Corps comes in, led by Lady Deadpool, who was voiced by Blake Lively, wife of Ryan Reynolds. Headpool from Marvel Zombies, who was voiced by Nathan Fillion. We get Cowboy Pool, voiced by Matthew McConaughey. Kid Deadpool, Deadpool 2099. Baby Pool, who was voiced by Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's kid, one of their kids. Welch Pool, and he's wearing Wrexham FC's logo. For those that don't know, Ryan Reynolds is one of the co-owners.
That's what that was.
Yep, he's one of the co-owners of that football club. Golden Age Deadpool, he's the one with the World War I gas mask. Ronin Pool, who eventually gets the little baby arms.
Yes.
Zen Pool, Scottish Pool, and so many others. Those were the ones I had to catch. I mean, there was a lot.
Yeah, it was insane. Did you know there was a Headpool popcorn bucket? Like,
who was putting that out?
AMC had it. Like,
really?
We
should have taken a picture of that. I did not know.
I should have. I'll find a picture of it and send it to you. But when my wife and I were in line to get because I bought the popcorn bucket that was like designed by Deadpool, and they had this other one. I'm like, well, I've seen that thing in the comics, that little zombie guy.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it in all the trailers, but I haven't seen all the trailers. That's a spoiler for the movie.
And the cool thing was in the comics with Deadpool, he's from the Marvel Zombies universe. When he comes into 616 with Deadpool, he becomes kind of canon in there. Deadpool, in order to carry him around, he actually has on his wrist like these things so he can bite on and not turn Deadpool.
Yeah, I think I already found a picture. I'll send you a picture.
Okay. And so Deadpool calls himself Deadpool Prime. I love how Deadpool says Marvel should just take the L and move on from the multiverse saga. Nicepool makes a comment saying he's loved everything since Endgame because he's Nicepool.
Yeah, that I appreciate self-deprecating humor. That got a big laugh out of me.
Yeah. But Deadpool and Logan walk out, and so they open fire on him, and he uses Nicepool as a human shield. But Nicepool doesn't have healing abilities, and my big pickup on that was, you know why he doesn't have because he looks amazing. He didn't go through the procedure.
Yeah, he's still just a mercenary. He has his face, looks like Ryan Reynolds. And I guess we could nitpick that he survived way too long, but it was such a funny bit with the number of bullets that went into him that I'm fine with it.
Oh, it's fine. And he gets the Gold Desert Eagle guns. But then they come out. We've seen this part of the scene in the trailer with, Like a Prayer. And at that one moment, Wolverine reaches back and puts on that mask. I cannot. That was double fist pump there. Everyone in my theater was like, "Yes, let's go, let's go."
Yes,
that was biggest smile, man. Oh man, I can't stop looking at those leaked footage of that. Oh,
those of us who saw the first X-Men movie in theaters, who have been around fans since that long.
That moment,
such a special moment for us to get to see the fully realized costume, and he didn't have the sleeves at that point, and just the fully realized Wolverine blue and yellow costume, looks like he's supporting the Rams. It's such a beautiful moment in the movie.
And then they get the kind of like the one shot of them just going after. He says, "Where do you wear this?" "Oh, when it's killing time." And they just take down all these Deadpools. At that one moment on the bus, you see an ad for Stan Lee steamers at that point.
And predominantly that was shot as a pseudo one-shot sequence.
Yes.
It did cut to blind out at one point, but you know how I like my oneers. So
Yep.
take a wild guess what my favorite action scene is.
Yeah, there we go. It was so good. And I agree. At some points when, and I'm glad it wasn't just a very quick where he's got the mask on. We got pretty much the rest of this fight scene. Once he puts it on, he leaves it on. I had to get a little used to it, seeing him speak with it. It wasn't like off-putting. It was just different because we'd never have seen him with this. So that was why I had to get used to it. But it was so good.
It had the white eyes.
Yes,
and
it did.
I'm team white eyes. And so I'm like, yes, you can do it. It's fine. I don't need to see your creepy eyes looking through the mask right now.
No creepy eyes.
I want the mask to be part of the imposing, and oh my God, it was so good. So good.
It was worth all the. I mean, we saw so much marketing with the toys, the Hot Toys figures, the Funkos. We knew we were getting it, but I was just like, I just need to see it, and I'm glad they kept that out of the trailers. That was a good one.
A week ago, I went to Inside Out 2. I saw it for a second time with the family, and we got a large popcorn, and it was a circular bucket, and it was advertising Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah. And it had Wolverine in the mask on it. And I'm like, well, I've already seen this image before, but I'm like, what are you guys doing? You're just, and it just such a special moment to get to see in my opinion, the first time the fully realized Wolverine in live action.
Yeah.
Out of all these appearances, the fully 100% realized character.
And the end shot where they're leaping out, that's a famous leap out of Wolverine leaping out like he does at that point. I mean, taking the positions. But yes, they get through them all, only to find that, well, guess all of these ones heal. Then we see someone coming up on a bike, another Deadpool, and said, nope, this Deadpool's with me. He's good. It's Peter Pool.
Peter Pool.
Everyone's got a Peter, and Peter's amazing.
And they enjoyed playing with his Peter.
Yeah, it was hard not to catch that one.
Yep.
So Wolverine and Deadpool go down, and they find that Paradox has already told Cassandra how to operate it, saying that the only way they can disable is they break and connect the antimatter to the matter. It'll rip them apart. Whoever does it will die. So Wolverine and Deadpool go down, and Wolverine's just like, nope, I'm going to do it because I got nothing else to live for. You've got a family to live for. But then Deadpool at the last second switches. He tries to hold it, and he can't reach far enough, literally time slipping and being ripped apart by Cassandra. Everyone's getting spaghettied. And then as we see Wolverine kind of bust through, then he slips in there, shirt busts through when they both connect, kind of doing an a la kind of Guardians of the Galaxy. All the power runs through. And they eventually save the universe. We're like, all right, they're dead. They sacrifice themselves, but did they?
Well, as soon as he's like, neither of you can survive it, I'm like, well, they have to do it together.
They do.
They have to do it together.
And I love the comment Deadpool made. Oh, look at that jacked up abs.
When they make the circuit and Wolverine's shirt blows off and Deadpool just stares at his abs. So good. But I love the way the B-15 is like chastising Paradox over it. And Paradox, he's trying to be like, my men died down there. I sent people down there and they died. And then you just hear Deadpool, he is risen.
I know. It's a surprise. And I do like, Paradox is arrested. Everything's restored. Cassandra's dead. So the others are returned. The Resistance are returned to their respective timelines upon Wade's request. Logan is permitted to stay in the timeline to be the anchor, which is no longer deteriorates. Logan actually asked B-15 if she could restore his past and fix it, and B-15 says no. that's what makes him the anchor. He needed to go through that in order to save Wade's timeline. Again, like we said, confirming the time travel theory of Endgame. And there's no reason, and so there's no reason for a further change. I do like how Deadpool offers Hunter B-15 his services if they ever get called upon again. And she said, "We'll keep that in mind."
Yep, and she takes a liking to Peter Pool.
How can you not? Everyone loves Peter.
That's right.
So, but Logan and Wade sit down and eat some shawarma.
Yeah, which the Avengers discovered. The Avengers discovered
I know.
shawarma.
They discovered that at that point. And Logan says, "You know what? I'm going to disappear. I'm retired. You're never going to see me again." But very quickly after, he's there in the big family get-together at Wade's place. And X-23 is there. Laura's there. And we do see a little bit of Wade and Vanessa kind of touching each other's hands. So could they get back together? I think they will.
Possibly reconnecting there, and we just have to presume that the other heroes from the Void are also still alive, because Deadpool did ask, "Can you go get them out?" They helped us.
He did.
And I'll say this about Vanessa: she broke up with him because he wasn't doing enough with his life. He helped save their entire universe. Oh, now she's interested again.
Yep.
You're a universe saver.
Exactly. So, but yeah, so end of the movie, and we get an end credits scene that doesn't lead to anything. It does confirm that Wade was like, "I didn't lie. Let's go to the footage and see exactly what Mr. Johnny Storm did tell them." And man,
it's
Johnny's got a potty
Deadpool
mouth.
said and more.
Yes.
Everything Deadpool said and more, and it was brilliant. Nothing short of brilliant. And then, of course, during the credits, we already mentioned it.
I will say this, though. Chris Evans does slip into his Boston accent a little bit.
Yeah.
In there.
During the credits, we already mentioned it a little bit, but basically it's a whole bunch of like behind the scenes footage and a little bit of on camera footage.
Even Fan Four Stick
from early X-Men. Yeah, but they get Michael B. Jordan in there as Human Torch, basically from the Fox Marvel movies, and not just that, because you see Ben Affleck, a shot of his Matt Murdock with his Foggy Nelson as well. And it just it was really nice. And like I said, the movie was a love letter to the Foxverse, and I feel like it's done that. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, and I'm glad they gave, even it was nice that they tried to pick and choose just enough of little bit scenes from as much of the Fox universe as that possible. All in all, nitpicks aside, I'll still stick by it. It is a good movie. The future, this one, I don't think we're done with Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, and we're not done with Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, period. They're going to come back. The question is, do they come back before Secret Wars?
There's no way to me that was the final appearance of them both. They didn't do what I thought they would and have Deadpool and Wolverine will return. But I don't see how it's possibly the final appearance of them both.
Especially when Kevin Feige says, like, we're not looking to recast him anytime soon, and whoever's going to take over Wolverine, it needs to be a very different Wolverine.
Deadpool told us Hugh Jackman is stuck to his 90.
Yep, exactly. So it's canon. It's
just the way it is.
Yep. So, all right. Now we come to your favorite part of the show, and I know and I say that because Brent hates this part of the show.
I've been struggling.
So first part, easy part, rating out of 10.
Oh, 10. I told someone today, 10 out of 10 movie. Loved it.
Okay, 10 out of 10 movie. I'm going this where I start getting a little bit of hot takes. This is 8 out of 10 for me.
Okay.
I said the villains were part of my problem. Nitpicks here or there, things like that, but that doesn't dissuade from it. Now, where would you rank this in your Deadpool movies?
Best Deadpool movie for
Best
sure.
Deadpool movie? Okay.
Best Deadpool movie for sure. Not even close. And I say that, and you know how much I love the Deadpool movies. Mm-hmm. And so it will be a fun trilogy to watch all together at some point.
Yeah, I right now, yes, it's the best for me. I think it goes 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, that part is a little bit more of a struggle. 1 and 2, I kind of go back and forth on.
Same here, yeah.
And so they're more close. So that's more closer to me. But all of them lead into each other so well, and even 2 leads into 3. Like I told, we have some new people at work, and one of them says he's seen 1 and he wants to see 3, but he never saw 2. And I said, well, you should go ahead and watch 2 because, well, 1, you told me you liked the first one,
Yeah.
so it's just a funny movie, and 2, the events of it do play into the finale,
Yep.
or into the third part, I should say.
All right, now the really tough part. Where does this fit in your MCU rankings?
With the caveat of I reserve the right to change it.
As always, we both do. We always reserve.
the right to change
This
it.
is as of right now. It's only 2 showings where you're at.
Right now, I have it at number 10.
Oh, it snuck in there. Wow, that's impressive.
I loved this movie so much.
All right, what's
And
in front of it? What's behind it?
First Avenger, Captain America: The First Avenger is my number 9.
Okay.
And right behind it is Loki season 2.
Okay. All right. So again, hot take for me. So pulling up my letterbox right now, it is number 19 for me.
Okay. Middle of the pack.
Middle of the pack at
Middle
that
of the
point.
pack with like 50 billion projects. Actually, according to my photo album where I have a poster from every movie, it's 40. This includes up through Agatha. Well, basically, remove Agatha, it's like 46 projects.
Yeah.
No, that can't be right because there's been the animated ones too. Like
Well,
Marvel Studios has put out 50 projects at this point.
Well, what's in front of it right now for me is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Civil War, and Multiverse of Madness. And right behind it at number 20 is Hawkeye, Miss Marvel, and She-Hulk and Moon Knight. So I've only seen it once. All right, you've seen it twice, so it may woke up, but even it may move up at that point. But right now, I think what I'm trying to keep in this case a lot of nostalgia at that point. But I think a second viewing might move it up. I'm not sure yet, but right now, as of right now, it is number 19 for me.
That's fair.
So, but all right, well. This has been a great, the only Marvel movie we're getting, Marvel Studios movie. We're getting other Marvel movies that we will review on this show, and
Sort of.
yeah, we're gonna they're Spider-Man adjacent, and that's where we'll leave it. And it offends me saying even Spider-Man, but we will review those later. But let's focus on the positives. So, Volume 223 in the books. Excellent discussion, excellent thoughts at that point. So, Brent, tell people how they can follow you.
Yeah, Brentech Prime on the socials, and I can finally take off some of my mute filters. So I'm excited to do that.
And as always, when we get back to the show proper next week, we're gonna keep spoilers out of this because we're gonna abide by the Russos. We give 2 weekends before we let loose on spoilers back on the show.
Yeah, but we'll definitely mention the box office. Where
We will.
It's already the Thursday numbers have already come in, and they made $38.5 million.
Yep.
It was $500,000 behind Infinity War.
Yep.
It's number 8 all time.
The question is, will it make to 200 million? It's getting close. It's almost going to happen.
It's getting real close.
Yeah, it's getting real close, and we will also. There was a lot of stuff in the past week that Kevin Feige was talking about. We're going to talk about all that on the show next week. So we got a lot of stuff with Kevin Feige, and we might have a guest joining us. We'll see at that point. I don't want to confirm or say anything yet because things might happen. But right now, we will be having a guest that is going to Hall H that wants to talk about the Hall H experience that they have this week. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Yes.
But yes, remember we are going live Saturday night, 8:45 Eastern Standard Time to do the live breakdown of the SDCC Hall H Marvel Studios panel. So check that out. And again, Brent, tell people I can follow you one more time.
Brentech Prime on the socials.
Yeah, on the socials, you can follow me on Twitter at Chris Balg. You can follow my other show, World's Finest True Believers. New show dropping this Sunday, looking at Green Lantern Rebirth with my friend Omar from Near Mint Condition. So check that out this Sunday. Episode 98, the March to 100 is getting ever closer. So check that out. You can email the show at marvelalliancepodcast@gmail.com. You can follow the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network on Twitter at GUA Network. Feel free to email, tweet if you want to provide feedback, ask questions. DMs are open across the board. Continue to rate and review the Marvel Alliance solo feed, GUA Network feed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts. We greatly appreciate it. We want to thank you all for joining us live in the chat. Stay safe out there, everyone. Maximum effort. And as Stan the Man would say, Excelsior, true believers. All right, Brent, post-credits discussion. Secret Wars cameos we want to see. We got the cameos in Deadpool and Wolverine. We heard a lot of rumors. Some things happened. A lot of things didn't. So what are some of your must-want cameos coming to Secret Wars?
They said he was dead, so I'll take an alternate version of the Ben Affleck Daredevil to start us off with.
Corpse?
Sure, I'd get a kick out of that. But just a Ben Affleck Daredevil in general, I think would be fun.
All right. I know Taylor and I are in this thing.
Yeah.
I want Nick Cage Ghost Rider. I want him coming out of a portal, flinging that chain, and I want that so badly.
May not be a cameo, but Spider-Man in a comic accurate black suit, meaning I want the Venom suit with the white spider and stuff. Like
so
I
not
want to
so
see,
not like cloth. You want the alien symbiote.
I don't want it to look like a black version of his current costume, the way the symbiote was done in Spider-Man 3. I want like truly the black costume. Like if people know what I mean when I say that.
Yeah. I want to see Strange Supreme. I want to see Strange Supreme from What If. I would like to see that in live action.
I think that is a great idea. I'd like to see Miles Morales from the animated universe and from the Spider-Verse. I'm a little torn on if I want him to be animated or not. But if he's not, I kind of want Shameik Moore, who voices him, to play him. So he can be an older one, but I kind of want it to be like that Miles Morales. And I don't know that would be the Miles Morales that will get introduced into, that we would follow across, let's just say they're going to introduce Miles to the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. I don't know that. I'm not saying it should be him, but I think it'd be fun to see that version of a Miles Morales.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Fox characters I want to see again, I definitely want to get Sam Jameson and Cyclops. God, why did the name escape me?
James
Marsden. I want to see them back in there. Jessica Alba.
She said she'd do it, and I'd be fine with that.
I'd be fine with that.
Bring that whole not Johnny, but the rest of that Fantastic Four back.
You can pluck another Johnny out of somewhere else.
Have that Fantastic Four find out about Johnny.
Yeah.
Daredevil better play him the clip, or not Daredevil. Deadpool better play him the clip.
Yeah. How about get some alternate universes of some stuff at that point. Like I said, bring some of the What If characters. I'm fine with that.
Old Man Thor.
Oh, yeah,
that's
a good one.
King Thor, I guess.
King
is
Thor.
His name from the comics.
Good Thanos. The flip.
That would be
from
be
the
a
Guardians
tough
of
one.
the Galaxy. What If?
Yeah.
So, little quick fun discussion. The show always goes long at that point, but we were always going to give you a post credit. So we're probably coming up with this ideas more as we get towards Secret Wars, and maybe we might get a title change at SDCC. Who knows?
I wouldn't be surprised.
So, but thank you all for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow night, or you'll be hearing us Sunday morning in the feeds at that point. So again, maximum effort. Great job. This was awesome, man. I can't wait till I see this again. All right, all. Catch you later. Bye-bye.